Now, to talk about the verse, I have to repeat something I just told you in the lesson before. So, all the pop and rock songs, they usually have a verse and the chorus. That's what the entire structure of those songs, is all about. It's about the verse and the chorus, which usually have the same music behind them, and the chorus usually has always the same lyrics in it. So we have those two elements that repeat throughout the song. Verse usually uses the same chord progression, same music, and the same melody being sung by the voice, but with, let's say, a different text, since all of the verses usually have different text parts. Saying that pop songs usually and rock songs usually have a chorus and a verse always, and those repeat. So those repeating elements are always there. Now, they usually have an intro, or they might skip it, as I've told you already. They might have an outro, or they might skip it. Maybe the outro is just going to be a hard cut. So as I've said, that's entirely up to the composer, the creator of the musical piece. Now that's, as you would say, foundation of pop music, is that verse and chorus repeating. Sometimes you have a bridge somewhere in there, you have an intro, you have an outro, but those are optional. What is always certain is that you have a verse that always retains the same melody of singing, maybe with slight variations for the verse 1 and 2 and 3, and usually uses the same singing with different text for the verses. Sometimes even not. Sometimes the verse is always the same. Just look at the new, composed pop music, which has quite a few words just being repeated like crazy, and that would be it. I wouldn't want to name names, but you can find it out yourself. Just, listen to new popular music. It's just, for the lack of text, is just repeating the same word over and over again. And that probably has a meaning. And some of those I get the meaning, some of those I don't. But not all the music is meant for me, or not all the music is meant for you. So liking music, appreciating music pieces is quite subjective. So not all the music is for everyone, but learning how to respect, how to analyze it is going to help you create your own music. So be mindful of that. Now, how could I, tell you how to compose a verse? Well, that's nobody's business telling you how to do something and in which order. Some composers might probably start off with the chorus, so they might probably start composing a song off of the main piece of music. So let's say off the chorus, which should have the hook in it, which is going to, make it be played on the radios. And then after that, create a verse that comes before. Some of them start with a verse. Some of them start with an intro, actually start with, the beginning of the song as a story. So that's up to you. Creatively, how you're going to create your music, in what order, that's all up to you. But, analyzing what music actually has inside, and what is the structure most commonly used in music, can be quite helpful for anybody wanting to compose music. Now, what I can definitely tell you, let's say in electronic music, most of the genres have quite a few differences only, and it's usually the more experimental people who do differences, but mainly most of them have an intro. They do have breakdowns, you see, where you don't see any beats. They have a breakdown, and that breakdown is usually just let's say, that melodic part with some kind of a tension building. So the purpose of the breakdown is actually to give you a rest from all the banging of the drums, and just give you a rest and build some tension until the beat drops in another time. So in all of electronic music, you can see that happening. Right here, here's the breakdown, a breakdown, a breakdown right here. It's not the same as all the rest. So I can even play you that from that techno song you just heard in the lesson before. So this is how it goes into that breakdown. So that's it. As I've told you, tension building for what's to come next. And let's say in something that's more melodic, like this song, It's also tension building and showing off all the melody, because probably all that melody wouldn't be attractive to be played on top of everything. Maybe we want more energy during the beats playing. So let's just hear this breakdown. So that was that build up, even having that kick drum. But usually you can spot that there is always that, as the name implies, a build up, in that breakdown. So there was that build up that creates tension for what is to come, and usually a slight pause before, all hell breaks loose. Just like right here, usually there is a small pause to make this impact of what's to come even more noticeable, of course. So it's all about the energy in songs like that. It's all about energy. And, if you think about it, having a song as long as it is, and it really doesn't matter, it depends on the genre mostly. It's if you had just this one type of energy all the time, so all the time you had all the drums, everything banging out, after a while, it would lose the interest of the listener. So having those breakdowns actually stop and then having that impact come once again, it just makes the listener feel that impact as powerful. So you're actually giving the listener quite of a reference, and that reference actually having lower energy, lets them evaluate that drop that comes in right after that, the higher tension, like higher energy piece of music. It lets them experience that as though they have higher energy, as they do. But if you had no pause, they would have no reference to actually experience that as something so powerful. So after a while, it will become boring. This is why you need that kind of change in music, that kind of dynamic variety, so that the listener would actually feel the energy of the parts you made, letting them actually rest and giving them a different reference of, energy in songs, so that when the higher energy part comes in again, they feel it as really powerful. So creating tension in that build-up, in those breakdowns, and then the tension leads to that drop, as we call it. That's quite a powerful tool. And as you know, music is all about, transferring emotion onto the listener that you actually had in mind when you created music. So those are the tools and arrangements that actually help you do that. But to get back to that pop music, a verse is actually something that let me say, some of the pop songs that I've heard, the verse is even more beautiful than the chorus. And the chorus, in, let's say, some examples of songs I've heard, the chorus is nothing special, actually. It's just it's just, let's say, one word or three words being repeated, into craziness. But the actual verse is the most beautiful part, the most melodic, emotion-inducing part in the entire song. And the chorus is actually just something, to be there to repeat 3 times throughout the song. And probably some people prefer that to the verse. I prefer the verse. That's why I said it's subjective. But the verse and the chorus definitely are, the foundation of music structure, musical structure in all of the pop and rock songs. And that's the music mostly played, the music you can mostly encounter anywhere, when turning on the radio, TV, whatever you can think of. So if you're into making pop music, the best thing would be to actually analyze harmonies and chord progressions that happen in them, that happen throughout the verse, that happen throughout the chorus, that maybe is in the bridge, in the intro, in the outro. And by learning this and analyzing, you will get better at composing that kind of music that you're actually listening to and analyzing.